Hello there. Don't worry, come, he's be fine. Sorry, wrong show. Just channeling Obi-Wan Kenobi. Welcome to Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. This is on Revolution Radio Studio A, or as normal people would say A, but sounds very Canadian. Studio A. Anywho, just digging a hole right off the start. Big thank you to Tony and the Y-Files. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to revolution.radio or freedomslips.com and donate what you can so we can continue broadcasting in this moment of now, which is like, what is it, day 35 of the election? It's just... Can we just say it's day 35 of an erection and we have to go see a doctor? That would be so much easier. I have had a 30-day erection. Election? Oh, yeah, I meant that. Sorry. We'll get into China, I'm sure. Yes, please donate what you can. And then while you're at the website, buy some merchandise, T-shirts, caps, onesies for the little ones. I'm not sure if we have scarves. I really should check into it. So, yeah, just keeping it real, eh? And then pop into the chat room. It's a bit lively, but I'm sure it'll put an end to that because that's what usually happens. Like, well, shh, we're listening. So there we go. Big thank you to Omega L, because I'm just giving up on logos. There, I can say that. It's like... I've been into the ceremonial wine and I love you all, but from afar in these days of supposed plague, as well as SJ Infidel. Just interesting. You'll make friends in the Middle East, I'm sure. So yes, J-Bear 11. The J-Bear's been cloned 10 times, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to join me, just drop me a line, Monty_Dean, and I'll add you to the call. 3 guests that I prepared earlier, which gives a hint that I'm slightly professional. Hey, I'm professionally lazy. Job. Ha! I have been joined by Steve, Zerilath, John Z, and Brandon Young. Let's start with Z because he's platforming at the same time, which is a tradition now during the election breakdown of my mental capacity. Steve, how are you, sir?
Hey. What is going on, my man? Good job getting the entire Plaid army on your bad side off the bat.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've been watching Outlander, and they're in North Carolina in 1774. So there's going to be a revolution, laddie.
I bet.
And we're not wearing kilts. We're wearing platoon. Never mind. Anyway, back to you.
All right. We're doing that D-Live thing again. It's fun. So we're chilling here. I got about 4 people hanging out.
Excellent. Sling Steve a lemon. And that's not a euphemism. That's an actual credit system that they have on D-Live. And my question is, what's the D stand for? Okay. So now... our New York correspondent, I think he holds a quarter of the population in New York at this point in time. John Z, how are you?
There was a bomb squad outside my house yesterday.
Oh, is that actually like a police thing, or is it a rap group?
No, it's an actual police thing.
Okay, yeah, because it's New York. Yo, man, we're defying orders, y'all. Anyway,
John is
that would be something to see.
Yeah, well, yes, it is. So, sorry to step on you there, Steve. I think he said John is the bomb. So, did you find out why they were there, or they just knew that hey, there's that Mr. Z from Planet Collingwood. He's famous. Let's hang out here.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that's the first thing my neighbors said. What did you do? And I said nothing yet, which is why I'm surprised they're here. But in actuality, what happened was that earlier in the year, an older couple had died literally the next house over. And so apparently the guy was ex-military, and he had a bunch of claymores, mortars, rifles, and a whole bunch of other stuff in there.
Yeah, I would recommend collecting stamps. Everyone, just
that's boring. Like,
yeah. Oh no, you come and have a look at my claymore.
You can lick the stamp.
Oh yes, it's very sexual, especially those English stamps. Oh, the Queen. All righty. Now, someone who knows a bit of royalty in a certain way because he likes to read Tolkien, JJR. I'm just making up words now, aren't I? Brandon Young has joined us because he looked at his watch and got the right date.
That's right. Hello, this is actually the Prince of Wales. And
hello.
Hello, and everybody on the round table, I should say. I'm enjoying it very much, and I am enjoying the peasantry of your country.
Yes, it's wonderful to lower myself to this level of peasantry. You should really try and wash. The Prince Charles, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the one with the ears. And we have also been joined from our Canadian correspondent in Central America. Bruce, are you there?
Yeah, hi, guys.
Calm down, Bruce.
Roosevelt.
How are you, sir?
I have absolutely no complaints at all, Monty. I had a massive piglet birth this morning.
Ooh.
I'm a prosperous man in the world of swine and pork bellies.
You mean bacon?
So you're living high on the hog.
Did you know? Oh, yeah, that Monty. That's so bad. It's good.
Yep. See, that's my goal is to go so bad like it circles round.
Yeah.
Like that's quite good.
It's like going back to vinyl to listen to your music. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just there. It works. And yeah. Hey, did you know that you can tell the maximum number of piglets that a sow can have by counting her nipples?
That makes sense. It's an engineering thing.
I told the same thing to Camilla.
On behalf of Planet Collingwood, I would like to apologise to the swine community for that terrible reference. And I've been watching The Crown, and Charles is a dick, and it's just not right.
Actually, wait. If we get the swine angry enough, their
next
flu
season
will
I kill my wife. I think they've been a bit unfair, you know.
So you're both being funny at the same time. So Steve and then Brandon, because I liked where he was going with it. So Steve, say that again about the swine.
I was saying that if we get them angry enough, they'll attack us with their flu, which will cancel out what we're dealing with over here.
Yeah, I can't deal with 2020. I'm just going to get swine flu and have a holiday.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Nice. Not Prince Charles. Say that again.
No, Prince Philip. And
yes.
Arousing. See, this plague that we have going on is nothing like the plague I wanted.
Yes.
And we planned a much greater plague to come and kill you all soon. So be aware and be vigilant.
Yes. For those playing at home, the man that actually lately has looked like he's the Emperor from Star Wars, like he's just wrong. He said, "Oh, if I died, I would like to come back as a virus and kill humanity." That's what you want to hear from your leaders. That's good. It's like, thank you, Phil. He's part Greek, so notice they're being all quiet.
You're not talking about Klaus didn't say that?
Oh, right.
No, he was having a costume change.
Yeah.
Right. He's the one. I thought he was the one that was going for the Emperor look.
I thought that was more Kawasawa. He's been watching the Mandalorian. It's like, I see all the. I can't do a German accent. Got to do a German. I've been watching the Mandalorian, and I believe the Kawasawa references are very good. Someone who is good and probably is offended by my German accent. We've been joined by HiJacker. HiJacker, how are you dealing with day 35 of the election?
Okay, so now we're going to party. Okay, so now
the dreaded HiJacker.
You have party poppers?
Yeah,
that's right. You got party poppers. You got everything. So now we're going to party, and so what this show is about is that the Supreme Court has taken up the case of Texas with 12 or 14 different states against the other 4 states, And so in 2 days, basically, I think it's going to be Thursday, 3 p.m., the court is going to decide this election. And so what we're looking at is a very conspiratorial type of complex play by Samuel Alito of the Supreme Court, the full Supreme Court, and looks like what they're going to do is they're going to basically overturn this whole election of Joe Biden. And so we're headed for the unmovable object, basically hitting the unstoppable object. Yeah. And so that's what this.
I have to admit, that was an impressive like, wait a minute, a whole state, the biggest Republican state in the union, just sued 4 other states for election fraud.
No,
you could legally do that.
Yeah, but also it's Texas.
No, Texas.
Out of the entire union, who do you think which state would go up and is like, I don't like you, boy, I'm going to sue you? It's Texas.
Wait a minute. The state of Texas is unlike any other state in the union. State of Texas is actually they became their own nation with the Mexican Texan type of war. They became the state, the Republic state of Texas, and so every 2 years, Texas has to actually sign off on joining the union. They're not any other state, but there's also 10 other states that have stacked up behind them: Louisiana, Alabama, Missouri, many other states, and so
Arkansas,
all right. And so what we're looking at is the best I can tell you how what's getting to happen in the Supreme Court is this is basically a Supreme Court judicial orgasm. I mean,
may I interject here?
If you may give me 3 seconds to say hello, Daryl, or Stardustman. How are you? Go ahead.
I'd just like to interject here. 7 states have signed on to. I think it's including Texas. I'm not sure if it's 7 states besides Texas or 7 states including Texas have signed in onto that lawsuit. Over.
No, it's up to 12 states now, okay. And by morning it might be 25 states. This is big.
It's going 52 states. I heard is the new.
We also have been joined by our New South Welshman correspondent, Cortek. How are you there, sir?
G'day, am I here? Am I?
Yeah, no, I've just been on radio. Yeah. I don't want to know about your relationship with creation. Just you're on the show.
Where is anyone, really?
Last Saturday, I woke up and I thought, when am I? I haven't done that before. Monty Cortex, you Aussies have got everything to play because if Donald Trump does not get into power and it turns over to the Biden, Beijing Joe, basically.
Feels like 1999 and people are really crying out Y2K again. Planes aren't going to fall out of the sky, dude.
No, you don't get it. No, Cortex, you don't get it.
You're living in a police state, something you can't see, and you're still laughing about the idea that it's bad news bears for you.
I'm living in a police state.
Okay, Monty.
It's very Australian, actually. It's like
Monty.
Hey. Yeah, glass house.
You need to become the traffic cop.
All right, one at a time.
Let's fight.
No.
Hey, Bruce.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Cortek codes Fortran. He wants the Y2K thing to come back.
Hysteria is not that hard to drum up, is what I'm saying.
Well, especially now with the whole division and everything else like that. So, but Australians, we deal with certain things like you're at a police state. Oh well, I'll buy a slab.
But HiJackers never done that.
Yeah, I wanted this show to be silly. So
what 1.4 billion Chinese are going to do to your 30 million population.
But if we stop buying Chinese product, they're stuck.
They're going to come and take it.
Yeah,
Jacker,
Jacker, you deflect.
can I ask something?
Deflect.
Can I ask something,
wait.
Jacker?
No, Monty,
Bruce.
come on. Be the policeman. Come on.
Yeah, well, stop interrupting then. Bruce, ask your question.
So, Jacker, are you on the Q train now, man? Are you a little queer with your politics?
No, I'm not going to tolerate this.
Come on.
It's a comedy show. Just relax. So,
But this is the Q narrative, right? Trump had it under control the whole time.
No.
It's unfolding in 12-hour cycles as we listen to you on Rev Radio.
No.
It's look every
Jacker, it's natural to fry when you peel an onion, right? You know that, right?
We have our patriots that have conniption fits, and we have our patriots that try to heal us through humor through these times. We know how much of a nightmare if the Patriots lose is going to be. This is a comedy show. We're healing through comedy, Jacker. Relax, smoke a blunt, have some fun, please.
Way ahead of you, Steve.
Oh, well, there you are. Yes. Don't worry. I like when people say, "Oh, be careful, your conversations on Skype may be recorded." I don't talk to people off air. I go globally and it's archived. I'm totally fine with being recorded.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monty, did I get 30 seconds?
I'll put the timer on.
You could go ahead.
You're half done, Jacker.
Okay,
28, 27, 26.
All right,
Okay,
everyone else mute and let Jacker goes. Go ahead, Jacker.
Yeah, just for the record, laughter on radio sounds like a bunch of drunks talking at a bar, by the way. So just
and have you seen how popular
radio?
Clearly, you don't listen to Tinfoil Hat.
Bartender, Jacker's had his last drink, okay?
So do I get 30 seconds?
Does that mean we can get behind the bar when he leaves?
You're on minute 2 now, man. What do you mean 30 seconds?
There's no
You
bar.
want another 30 seconds?
Jonesy's in the corner with a hooker, and it's a smoking device. Just at the hookah. Yeah, anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Jack. How many times do you need your 30 seconds? Get out your point. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the point. The point is that Texas basically has brought the Supreme Court challenge to these 4 different swing states, and now there's up to, I think, 10 or 12 different states that's got behind them. And so what we're going to basically hear about in the next 2 days, I think it's the 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern time, the Supreme Court is going to actually hear the arguments basically from these 4 states. And those 4 states are Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. 62 electors. And why they weren't ripped off, why basically Texas and all these other states weren't basically disenfranchised. And so we're looking up to a big type of Supreme Court. I don't think anybody's ever seen this before. We're looking at a big Supreme Court orgasmic type of ruling on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, Trump did a retweet.
Yeah,
Trump did a retweet of a guy who posted one of those memes, and it's got Amy Coney Barrett with like golden activated eyes. Yeah. So like, something is up beyond up. I wonder. I really want to know if we get disclosure. I really want to know the circumstances behind the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because I think that's some good court drama.
Let's deal with what we're dealing with right now.
Sure. I'm just talking about how interesting this is. It's the only.
We've been joined by another guest, so if I could get to talk on my own show, just putting it. I also would like to clarify something. I shared a bit of fake news, bit of false information there. It's day 36 because you included election day.
You invoke the 30-second rule on talk.
Or try manners.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, every show this year is like it's the first time, isn't it? We have been joined by our Californian correspondent, the mechanic. How are you, sir?
It's an honor to be on the show. I realize that every broadcast of yours is a comedy show, and some people just don't get the theme. They just don't. It's a complete disregard for the intention here. Jacker, I'm really appalled that you would be so offended right now. I'm equally offended that you're offended. I'm offended that you're offended that everybody else in here is offended because you're offended.
And you know what happens when you're offended? Nothing. As the great Steve Hughes points out.
I love Steve Hughes.
Yeah. Very.
Is that the nails on the chalkboard you were looking for there, Jacker?
No, you're mimicking me.
That's Daryl, Stardust. Anyway, for new listeners, all three of you, let's be fair, the idea of this show is with the heavy stuff that the rest of the station talks about, there's a little bit of comedy just to be a release valve on this stuff. And so that's my intention is to hide good information behind comedy, so the alphabet agency is like, oh, they're being stupid again. It's like, yes, I know.
If I may, it's one of the things that comedy is one of the things that the state can't control.
Yes,
doesn't know how to control.
Hey, Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing?
Oh, sorry,
go ahead, Bruce.
Banana fed fork, $15 a kilogram shipped.
By the way, note to self. Be aware, anytime you post a pic in Facebook and you're friends with Bruce MacDonald, you might get a flock of pigs on your page. You just might get an entire litter. I don't know even know what's a litter of pigs called.
A litter of pigs.
Yeah. It's just a god complex. Look what I have created, sort of.
Well, come on, that
it really was squirrel moment. It was.
But it's good, though.
It's a lot of pig. That's a big litter.
Yeah, dare I say, is it Canadian bacon? Yeah, I'll stop. Sorry. I really need to see that film. Jello Biafra plays an immigration guy in that, and it's like, why do you want to come to my? It's just brilliant. If I'm getting the right film.
In what movie?
I think it's called Canadian Bacon. It's I think Michael Moore's in it. I could be wrong.
Like a cop comedy or something?
No, for whatever reason they have to go to Canada and then come back. And Jello Biafra is actually a border patrol guy.
Oh, weird.
In immigration.
Correct. Yeah, Canadian bacon.
Did anyone see?
I was hanging out with the Plaid Army guys, and I found out that guy who directed Stuber, which was that Uber action film, he actually is a Canadian like indie filmmaker, and he made like these two movies in a series called Fubar, which is it's like a comedy kind of shot like a documentary kind of comedy of couple, almost like slice of working life in Canada kind of thing for like middle class people or something. It was really funny, and they didn't realize until I looked it up that wait, this guy did Stuber. This guy like got big in America.
Oh, nice.
So
the interesting thing about
over there in Canada.
Yeah, the interesting thing about comedy at this point in time, it's been used in the culture war because does anyone still watch those late night comedians? Because it's been 4 years of Orange Man Bad. It's like, get another joke. Jeez.
Well, Conan is Orange Man good. So.
Look,
well,
you know why I don't know why I feel this is every time I think of the movie Canadian Bacon, I always think of the movie star Kevin Bacon. Over.
Well, that makes sense. I'm sure there's 6 degrees of separation there, Stardust.
Yeah, it's like Jeffrey Epstein. It's like everybody knew him.
Yeah, they know him about now. So it's interesting. with the Supreme Court, will they follow the law, and is there hard evidence? Because there's so much evidence of like something's wrong here, you have to investigate it, and it's going to go through the courts. So it'd be interesting to see what the Supreme Court is going to do. Over.
Yeah. So what's going to happen?
Steve first, and then HiJacker, please.
Here's how easy it is to know how it's going to go. You've got 5 justices that matter because Roberts is a traitor, and we understand this. 3 of them are Trump appointees. The other 2 is Alito, who we've all just established earlier in this conversation is on our side. We've seen it through his actions since this whole thing started, when he started ordering people to stop doing this and start doing this. Then we also have Clarence Thomas, who I think he should be the leader of the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas, who has deep beef with Biden, and everybody understands he's a pretty good constitutionalist. He's been great for civil rights, and Clarence Thomas is national treasure, and so he hates Biden. Everybody knows this. In other words, we already know how they're going to vote as long as they're not idiots. As long as Trump puts it all out there, that like it's kind of in the bag that way on an extraordinarily reasonable level.
Yeah. Before I hand over to HiJacker, are you aware that Ted Cruz has offered to do the oral argument at the Supreme Court? Yes, no. Is that a no? Because everyone's going, yeah.
That's a no for me.
Yeah, thank you. Like, a closed question. I've got 2 options. He's a lawyer.
So that's the senator. That's the senator from Texas, and that's Texas is doing the laws. Yeah. Texas is coming in for the win, baby.
Yeah. So, HiJacker, go ahead.
Okay, so we're basically what we're looking at is that out of nowhere, and this does look like a conspiracy. I'm talking about, it does look like a conspiracy among the Supreme Court justices. Alito, he seems to be the big brain. He does seem to be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He's got his crew. Basically, he's got at least four people behind him. Barrett, Alito,
Thomas,
Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. And so he knows that he's got it. And so what's basically happening right now, out of nowhere, I mean, this is like a nuclear bomb that's like blown off in this political realm. What's happened, and so Texas has filed this suit within just a few hours. There was like 10 or 12 states that back behind it. They're going to take it. They put it on the docket. It's going to be on the docket. And so now what has happened is that the Supreme Court has basically said that these 4 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, 62 electoral votes, you've got to counter what Texas. Now, if you understand Texas is basically a sovereign state. In other words, every 2 years, the way Texas became a state, Texas was actually a republic.
Yeah, it became a republic. So you're repeating yourself. So
they were a nation.
They were actually their own nation, because I've got an inkling of moving to Austin because it seems to be kind of cool compared to the rest of
the... Well, you want me to finish or not?
Well, you're repeating yourself, so we've heard this before. So if you got some new bit, add that.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of us on the call. It's a round table, brother.
Okay, let's assume that's finished.
All right, I'm not going to get anywhere. I tried to explain to you. Okay, all right.
You succeeded in explaining it to us. That's what we're telling you.
I understand.
So what am I telling you?
Something you told us before. Thank you. We got the
most. Is it the most important things?
Texas is a different thing. It's the other thing that no one brings up is
now we're repeating it.
No, that's okay. Okay.
Right. So basically, because of this,
your show. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks.
Because Texas is holding the charge. There's more of a chance of actually getting. It's not like, actually, no, I won't do that. I was going to pick a state and say there would be a little bit weak, but Texas is Texas. Let's be fair. So it'd be fascinating to see how this plays out. With all the
believe in Lucille.
What I find interesting is, like, as an outsider, Cortek, I wonder if you could get where I'm going with this. As an outsider, with all those names of the Supreme Court justices, I'm like, is that a hockey team? The names just sound like a hockey team. And then I had an image of all the Supreme Court justices warming up at an ice rink.
I'd like to see a lot of global matters sorted out by just random sports that none of them play, and we could sharpen up their bats or whatever. So there's some accidents happening out there on the field. And
I reckon follow the letter of the law without corruption's a good start. Go ahead, Steve.
So what makes this neat now, like not just with Texas, but also when you start adding in other elements, you have congressional interest. You have independent state interest. You have military intelligence interest. That's Sidney Powell and Wood. These are all things that are not a party to the White House, not a party to the Trump campaign, that are also involved in their own angles. These are you're literally seeing legal allies emerging out of the shadows as we speak now. These are the legal levels of patriots on state levels, which is constitutional, making their move is what it seems like. So
like factions that
it's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting, and it's the only thing keeping me from figuring out what I would do if it went dark.
So basically, in a way, now I'm not saying it's correct, but it sounds like different factions that have this strange thing about America, being a land of free and the idea of the Constitution, they're all linking up because what's the term? Should we use deep state? That faction are trying to steal away from Trump because they have massive Trump derangement syndrome. And because they've played their hand, everyone's like, no. And so all these people, all these groups that probably wouldn't intersect are now going, we have to save the idea of America. Because that's sort of where I look at it is basically this whole election is just using the Constitution as toilet paper. And so there's a lot of, as Steve calls, patriots are going, well, no, because the ramifications of having Biden become president is going to take how long? Like the integrity of the election process and all that. Even I was
already has.
I was talking with a friend earlier. Like, how long will it take for America to heal? Because if you where it's been 12 years since Obama got in, there was that 8 years of oh my God, and then the response for that from the electorate was to have Trump in for 4 years. And, of course, the other side didn't like it, and so here we are. But this is why we're at in 12 years, because, like, Black Lives Matter and blah, blah, everything that's just social discourse and the gulf of a divide in division. If we have to, we need to have unity. Well, how about an apology first?
Did you see that video as well? I didn't know Biden had said it out loud, but he goes, and I have a conversation, whether it's with, him or her, and if we disagree, I'd just get a illness and get out of there. That's
the joy of Joe Biden, where it's like, just listen to him. He's lying all the time. He lies half the time and then tells extreme truth the other time. I described him. I described him earlier. It's like, the man has trouble walking through a door. And he's supposed to be the leader of the free world.
The man has such trouble walking through a door that he doesn't know how to feign having trouble walking.
He's just concentrating on breathing because he looks so compared to Trump.
He broke his foot or something, and he doesn't know which leg the ankle monitor goes on, and then he doesn't. Then he forgets to pretend he has the limp when he puts his full weight on it.
Yeah,
the joke.
the boot swapping could have been Photoshop, but still there is actual footage of like, well, that's actual reality. Quote, but he's jumping up and down on it, and he's hobbling and he's walking, and he does look like calling him Mr. Magoo is an insult to Mr. Magoo. It's like, Father Time at the end. If you remember the MASH episodes where Colonel Potter would dress up as Father Time and Radar was the new baby, as the old year goes out and new year comes in. It's like, why is Granddad cranky? It's like, that's the president. Oh. Like you look at, and also if you look at Trump now, obviously he's on vitamins. However, he's 4 years difference, and he could probably outrun most people. Like he makes us all feel like, wow, he's still going after 18 hours. The man's energy, and like even going through all of this crap, and over 4 years of harassment from the media and everyone else like that, and that idea of Trump being Satan is out there, and it's very hard to try and convert people to reality type thing because it's just ingrained with them. However, he's still if he loses the election, I would love him to go and do speaking tours and charge realistic prices, and you would have 20,000 people turn up and earn the same amount of money as the Clintons, who would have 50 people turn up, because that's what the Clintons do.
Right.
So, yeah, in short, you look at the difference of just the virility and health between Trump and Biden, and it's like, he's only halfway. He could go to 150.
Totally.
Biden should have died about 10 years ago.
Speaking.
Yeah, that's why he has a fake heart.
Yeah. No, that's Darth Cheney. Sorry, John, go ahead. You're off mic a bit. Yeah, there we go.
Speaking of when America is going to heal, I would point out, in case anyone's forgotten, we've been hemorrhaging since the Patriot Act was signed. And, it's kind of funny when everyone thinks like everyone, it's just, this is all going to get swept up under the rug, and then, it's going to be business as usual. I mean, the entire world right now, in some form or another, is being affected by the COVID virus shutdown, in parentheses there. And, especially over here in New York, I mean, it's getting quite depressing to see. It's actually starting to remind me of the 80s when the Bronx looked like a demilitarized zone. That's how many places are shut up and boarded now.
Yeah, I was actually watching a little bit of Stephen Crowder, and he had footage of what's happening in Staten Island, where a bar owner got arrested.
Yep.
And you've got full-blown New Yorker upset and explaining himself. He's just 1 degree away from a mob boss in a movie. It's just that classic stereotype. And these people with your perch, and it's just like
the Bronx accent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is why you don't upset New Yorkers. Because, I'm sure they're beautiful people till you upset them, and they're like Maoris. They could end your bloodline.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of people that genuinely get appalled because they have a very good relationship with the police, and then to see the police so blatantly do this when that it's an outright double standard, when there's plenty of businesses that have varying degrees of ability to hold a little bit of a crowd. And there's an assumption of no trust. And it's about punishment, and it's about being afraid of cases, and and nobody wants to say, hold on a second, we are expecting an impossible perfection in the human mindset. And if they don't let go of that, it's going to be part and parcel of continuing us down this police state road, because we're no longer looking for a real crime. We've now invented human contact as a crime.
Yeah,
listen, there's no going back without a well-established we need rehab. We're going to need rehab, like to go back to having any kind of fun like we used to have. Like people have post-traumatic stress disorders all over the place. Everybody's having extreme dreams, nightmares in many, many cases because shadow work is coming to bear with grand conjunction over here.
It's a dangerous
seriously
loop.
We have some work to do, man.
Yeah, it's a dangerous loop.
Psychological work to do.
It's a dangerous loop that it's being created. It's not natural, where it's the police are the enemy. That's sort of where the Black Lives Matter. All police are, whatever it is, and it's like, they're out they're hunting and killing black people. Not really.
No.
It's more. Go ahead.
Speaking of police, this is something I don't think people have talked enough about, at least over here. You think about all the police interactions that happen every day without an incident. Now, they're human, so they're never going to be perfect. And a lot of people compare the police to the military, and I understand why they do it. There's a severe lack of training, but barring that, even in the military, people mess up because they're human. Nobody's perfect. So the incidents you actually hear about is probably less than 3% at best. But think about how many interactions that is versus how many that make the news and go quote-unquote bad. It's a really small percentage. Yeah,
and there is kind of a pushback with the viral aspect of the internet because 3 months ago, in the last 3 months, someone I think he was shot or he was having an overdose or something like that, and it was in New York, and two police officers, I think they saved him, but someone actually put up a video of police doing their job and helping someone. And it's very rare, like, they always push out this guy killed this guy without any context. But in all the other stuff where police are helping each other, or helping people and following the law and everything else like that, the thing is the media is pushing the narrative that the cops are all bad. And how do you think that's going to affect the police mind frame where they think they're in a war every time they step out of the police station?
Here's the thing, though, that they're actually abandoning that narrative at this point because they've been given their dog signal. You've got guys like Barack Obama were just recently saying to be supportive of the police. He did say that, within certain context, but that is an absolute alienation to anybody who is on the extreme anti-police end of things. But the media is playing down that aspect of themselves now because we're at this point, and now the media needs the police because Antifa and BLM are kind of falling apart by the merit of just what the lockdown is doing to people and the revelations involved therein. And they're starting to realize, well, we need to get the police's loyalty back because we're not going to have our super socialist army right now, and we need an army right now. So this is their poor attempt to get the cops back on their side. And I think that's part and parcel of what the Staten Island situation was, because you would think if all police groups
you can go on
endorsed Trump, then yeah, I think so. Okay. And don't lecture me about going on and on and on, HiJacker. You are in no position to lecture me.
All right, calm down,
children.
All right, don't make me turn this. Don't make me turn this radio station. We'll go. How do I do that? Anyway,
stop this radio station.
Yeah, we're not getting ice cream.
That doesn't work either.
No. Well,
hey, look, HiJacker's back.
Yes,
you got ice cream.
Yeah. We'll talk later, John. Stop that. HiJacker, would you like to share?
Yeah, so basically, I'm cast my pearls before swine.
Okay, you can leave now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bruce, you're rich.
No, we're not talking about. I'm talking about the most important thing, and basically,
again.
Stop interrupting, please. Get to your point, please.
Yeah, no, you got the Texas Supreme Court.
Yes.
And the Texans, along with 10 other states, basically saying these 4 states don't have the right to basically disenfranchise all these other states and wait to vote. And so this is in the Supreme Court right now. This is the this is the most important thing right now.
Jacker, what insight does that give you, Jacker?
Well, I was about to say, what will happen if they make it to the Supreme Court? Will this be the floodgates for all the other stuff? Because
no, it's already in the Supreme Court. It's on the docket.
But that's just that. Oh, okay, it's on the docket. So that's the spearhead in certain things. Because
yes, so what you're looking at the reversal of the election. You're looking at
according to the media. Yeah, I understand what because it's
here's the deal. Here's the deal. They need so what we have to do is we have to talk about if there's going to be another emergency psyop that they can pull off to reverse this, because everybody knows they still got a number of tricks up their sleeve. Mundane things such as
Steve, you just want to hear yourself talk. Wow.
Giuliani, you've got Giuliani who tested positive for COVID. That
right.
slows down.
You just want to talk. You're talky.
Yeah.
And you're not Jacker.
Yeah. I know. Hey Monty. I got a lot of things that mean a lot to me that I want to say, and HiJacker likes to interrupt me in a way that scrambles.
Right. I would like you to. Hey, stop talking.
Monty. Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to actually have a conversation, but we're just talking about soap opera stuff. Like he said this and he said that. How about remembering you're interrupted? Yeah, you've just interrupted. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Why can't we just have a civil conversation?
Yeah, let's talk about the most important things right now.
Yeah, but the definition of garrulous.
Well, I was trying to build off your point, Jacker. I was trying to build off your point.
And go ahead,
because you already made that point, bro. You made that point in the first half of the show. So I was trying.
You want to run a show like this?
Do it.
Wow,
no, bro.
Unbelievable.
You want to sit there and you want to just talk about the fact that it exists. And that's all you want to do, Jacker. You want to talk about the existence of something, but you don't want to grow it. And I want to grow it. So this is what I'm going to say, if it's okay with Monty.
Well, yeah, don't monologue. Because I'm thinking that could be your nickname, sir. It's
sure
good. What's the premise of what your thought is?
Okay, very, very simple. I'm just saying big distraction. Like we've been waiting for the fake alien invasion situation. Something's got to sit there and attempt to be a big enough emergency to halt a Supreme Court process in its tracks. What are they capable of pulling off? What, does it have to go to the extreme of faking an alien invasion? I'm saying that, if we're following Jacker's line of thought, then I think that the most important thing to talk about would be how they distract us to distract the system itself.
That's a good point. My question, eventually, I've got it out, is that if this opens the floodgates, because if everyone else. Because if you remember Trump a couple of days ago, we need someone with courage, because there seems to be I keep getting told, Trump lost, and all the stuff in the courts have been shut down, but that's all the state courts that are going no, and they're it's very political in that aspect, where if Trump doesn't go any further than a Supreme Court in a state, what a good judge, he's made the right decision, and yet if he allowed the case to go further, he's a right-wing judge, that the judges will be judged in the court of media. And that's what sort of the one, we're not dancing around it, but I've mentioned a couple of times, is the media is not helping at all, because it's they keep pushing the idea of Biden's won. There's moments in World War II where I think they were going through France, or the German army were broadcasting, the war is over, Churchill has died, and that's just psychological warfare, where it's they hoped that the troops were that weak that Churchill's died, we can't go on. I think if Churchill,
pamphlets.
all that type of thing. I generally think if Churchill did die, England would have gone, no, that's it. They would have gone, right, we have to do it for Winnie.
Oh, we
and
can
flail
buy gin
further.
again.
Yeah, or something like, yeah. They'll just,
So, yeah, like it's a question of when the actual evidence is presented to the public through the court, that will the media continue to deny that it is evidence? Are they going to, because they would have to say the Supreme Court is illegitimate if the Supreme Court agrees that this is evidence, because I have a feeling that as long as it gets to the top of the process fast enough, that they actually have a really easy case.
Before you start, John, I'll do a quick bite and then hand off to you. I've seen people that are Trump haters. They believe that Trump is trying to hold a coup and steal the election, and that's their mindset. And so if the evidence is there and he actually wins because of evidence and it's locked in, total legal, the media will just portray it as like, oh, Trump stole the election and push that idea out. Go ahead, Mr. Z.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because what basically what getting from Steve is that, while it's being
sorry,
portrayed,
John, you're a little bit low. I can't really hear you.
Better?
No. That's better.
Okay. Anyway, glad you brought that up, because what I was getting from Steve is that what Biden would probably be doing is basically committing treason and overthrowing the government, which it makes no sense, because there you have that double standard, right? It's literally a cycle. Oh no, Trump is trying to overthrow the government, and oh no, it's Biden trying. I think at the end of the day, one of the main reasons all this is happening is to absolutely scare the living crap out of everyone here, and they're doing an extremely good job at it.
Yes, there's so much happening at the same time where we don't know what is a distraction and what is actually happening. I've sort of
so wait a minute, Monty.
Yes,
let me jump in here.
Hey, back.
Jesus.
Okay, yeah, let me jump in here. So you're going to have the state of Texas along with.
And greetings. Welcome back to part 2 of Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. We are on Revolution Radio Studio A, freedomslips.com. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to said website, freedomslips.com, and or revolution.radio, and donate what you can so we can continue on sharing this information. This little section is comedic, but the rest of the station does really good, insightful work and can get to the nitty-gritty, and it's quite fun watching the hosts have discussions in the host chat. But that's the fun part of what Nighthawk actually created, where it's a First Amendment free speech area. And yeah, us humans are special, aren't we? Also, Planet Collingwood, reminding you, dear listener, that Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, and Batman Returns are Christmas movies. Now, I've been joined by HiJacker. Who else is on the call? Thank you for interrupting. Brandon Young, Cortek, Steve Zerilath.
I want to party. Let's party.
Well, try with respect then. Can I just do like this happens every show that I come back and I do a little bit of housekeeping, introduce the guests, and then open the floor. See, the floor's open now. So, HiJacker, I'm getting I'm getting a sense that you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. First off, go to revolutionradio.com. Basically throw a couple bucks in, but no. What we're dealing with is the most important thing right now, and that is the Supreme Court. That is Texas. That's going against all of the others. Basically, you're talking about. They're talking about on the docket of the Supreme Court. Something like 12 or 15. Different states against four states.
Yes.
And so what we're dealing with now is basically, what's happening with the election.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but didn't basically the idea of the case or the lawsuit is that Texas and co. are saying to the other 4 states that they actually went against their own constitutions. They held their elections illegally. That's
right,
the premise?
Right. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
That is the big thing. And so Alito, the Supreme Court, they put it on the docket, and so and basically December 10th at 3 p.m. They're going to have these 12 to 15 states line up against 4 states, and it's going to be a state battle. That's what's going on right now, and the Supreme Court is going to basically decide. This is the big concept.
Well, let's play what if, a bit of gaming out of what are the possible conclusions of that, because do they the Supreme Court?
No, they're getting ready to throw it to Trump.
Come on, dude. Like, how am I supposed to
No.
I'm putting. How can I put forward ideas to talk about if you keep interrupting?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Because the one idea that's stuck in my head now is that they can nullify the election. Okay, here's a better question for you, Jacker. What is the outcome that Texas want? Is basically the elections in those 4 states are null and void and they're removed? Do they want to have a re-election, or what's the purpose of doing this?
Alito and 4 of the justices, Barrett, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Thomas, they're all going to sign off on that President Trump basically has won the election. And then we go into massive rage, massive civil war. They're going to start to burn the cities, and then it's going to come down to what President Trump is going to do. But basically, no, it's over.
There's not going to be a civil war.
Sorry, Steve. John first, because he's just very bit low mic today. So Steve, John, and then Steve.
Look, man, I respect your opinions, but when you start saying stuff like this, it's creating a very bad picture about things, and you're getting people more worked up than they have to be. So,
what do you think, John G? What do you think the left is going to do once they realize that President Trump?
I'll tell you what's going to happen, man. Right? You're
Okay,
gonna get a couple riots. You're gonna get a couple riots, and there may be 1 or 2 places in a major city that have something going on with jazz, and that's about it. If this breaks out into a real civil war, which it won't, you don't have to worry about anything because your entire life as you know it will have changed.
Right,
You've never been in a war zone.
You're talking about 86 million.
Dude, you've never been in a war zone. You don't know what you're talking about.
86 million.
Bro, all of the people that are capable of fighting in America are people that are chill human beings. In case you hadn't noticed, all the a-holes that are interested in not being under a Republican government are all people that don't like to own very many guns, don't like the idea of people that are like them owning many guns. They're not a military ready. They have nothing to fight with. They're not going to do that. They threw all of this at us over the summer. They blew their load over the summer. This is quite obvious with the way that their ability to protest is degraded. Listen, they would be out there right now. Antifa would be reading the tea leaves just like you and me, because they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. They can see that at the very least, they don't like the fight coming out of the Patriots, and they'd be having at it. And they've been, and guess what? They have been having at it, and they've been failing pathetically. There's almost nobody out there in the streets ever, since Trump started fighting back.
Right.
I would also add
strategy could work.
Yeah,
bro.
Go ahead.
I would also add that it's a theory, I guess, but if the perception of America is they're all gun-turning nuts, which is not right. You're all on medication, unfortunately. But if you know that stereotypical, you're all insane nut jobs with guns. The right would have had a revolution back in 1920 or so, 100 years ago. I am amazed with the gun owners of America because they are so calm. A lot of them are calm and everything else like that. And we have also been joined by the Vikings, so this is going to be interesting. Monty. All right, yeah.
Wait a minute, Jack. There's a new guy on the call. There's like 6 of us.
Go ahead.
Stop. Yeah, thank you.
Stop saying go ahead like you're in charge. Yeah. Monty's in charge.
Well, do remember? Hey, shush. Remember, dear listener, his name is HiJacker for a reason. Let's put it that way. Now, someone whose name is the Viking is also for a reason because he's a Viking. It's very simple. Viking, are you there, sir?
Yeah, I want to know what you call a litter of men that are out of control. A clusterfuck. It's a clusterfuck, man.
Yeah, Planet Collingwood. You're having a planet. So every time you look at those, the Thai government having a brawl. Oh, look, they're having a Planet Collingwood.
Right. So as far as what's going to happen here, this Texas thing is pretty monumental, as HiJacker is pointing out. It's definitely going to turn the tides here, and as Steve is pointing out, there's going to be huge PTSD syndrome occurring with this trauma triage is going to have to occur. As far as there being a civil war, that's not going to exist. There's right now as we speak, the skies are littered with huge, I don't know what they call those huge transport planes. They're landing all over the United States. They're mobilizing the 305th and the 207th and all these. The military is definitely staging for this when it happens, and it's going to be quelched. There's not civil war. There's two factions that don't have a coalition. There's 3 factions here, and that we have the armed forces that will be on the streets, but how it turns out is going to be absolutely beyond our perception here, because it's just going to be civil unrest, and civil disintegration. The people aren't going to be able to handle it. Suicides and just in families, the families that are torn apart. And
Viking, if I interject with a question, sorry to interrupt. I've got a question because I don't want to lose the point that you made. When, in a way, it'll be a form of martial law. It won't be across the entire country. It will be to quell the disturbance and the rioting. The media will
martial law.
Yeah. Okay. Media will actually portray it as like, he's a dictator, but it's like, will Trump be able to do it legally? Because you've got the precedent of America being on fire for 4 months.
Absolutely, he'll do it, and he will be portrayed as a dictator or whatever. But in actuality, he's bringing some sort of trying to bring a solidarity back into play here, which we will see by January and February. But we're going into about 6 weeks of heavy waters.
Yeah,
go ahead, Becca.
But I'm saying basically with the Texas Supreme Court order, basically 10 other states going up against 4 states.
Yeah, repeating yourself. Yes, we know.
No, they're going to flip it. They're basically going to flip it.
How will they do that?
They will flip it,
but
whether or not it becomes, whether that brings Trump to presidency or a new election, I'm still on the side that the whole election is going to be thrown out, because as it's being said now multiple times by multiple people now, I've been saying it now for 2 months. This is a sting operation. This is not an election. It's not an election. This is not the presidency. This is a sting operation to rout out these evil actors.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I would see because I'm just. Okay, you share your thought, because I can ask my question, because I don't want to break the flow. Go ahead, Steve, and then I'll ask my question.
one of the things that I'm thinking is that I think what happens because Trump is doing it this way. See, we're talking about all those deadlines, about all these things to get certified, right? About the election results that actually are extra constitutional and kind of more connected to certain legal precedents and traditions. I'm thinking that perhaps because those loopholes running up to January 20th, which is the only thing that's constitutional, is that certification point, that this may unbind Trump from the corporation. What do you think?
Because we are in a fluid moment of time. Because it's I was chatting with a friend of mine earlier, where I think I've mentioned on the show before. It feels like the controllers or powers that were or be, however you want to say it, the project got away from them, and instead of having controlled chaos, where problem, reaction, solution, all that type of thing, we're seeing natural chaos. And that's kind of why they're on the back foot of like, well, it's kind of doing what we want it to do, but we don't have total control over it. And it's interesting. It's, we're getting close. Type thing.
One of the curses on mankind's mind that has been going through a purging process. It just sucks that we all have to go through it, even if we don't have the problem ourselves, is the Crowleyan system of chaos magic. The Crowley foundational chaos magic system was meant to be like not a control, but it was allowed by the dark forces of control because it did more harm to the light than it did to the dark. So Crowley's spellcraft was pushed, emulated, made the gold standard of left-hand path, when really it was just evil. It was just effing evil. Thalima's evil, okay? But chaos magic is a very, very beautiful thing when it's broken from that kind of spellcraft, because there's too much order within something that is calling itself chaos magic to begin with. And so with that breakdown, there's a lot of emotions that have been embarbed with it. And so it's a painful process, because it's like if you're removing thorns off of somebody, the thorn is going to pull back on the flesh a little bit. It's going to leave some scars. It's painful. There's no taking out thorns and needles without it hurting a little bit on the way out. That's what we're going through.
Yeah. Brandon, would you like to add, because I know this is sort of you're familiar with this subject a little bit, well, more than me.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I did look at the Bush v. Gore scenario back in the day, and there's nothing. The U.S. Supreme Court doesn't have to do anything that it doesn't want to, right? So it doesn't have to look at anything. It hears cases it wants to hear. So it'd be all interesting to figure and find out what happens in the next weeks or coming weeks.
Yeah, it once again was like, we've moved forward. Pause. It's it's slightly, Mr. Z, you'll be familiar with this because my family is very transport orientated. So a lot of people worked in the railways, and it's very similar to the army, where it's if it doesn't move, paint it. If it does move, catch it and then paint it. That's one slogan. Another one is hurry up and wait. And
I love that one.
Yeah, so would you say this is like the high end hurry up and wait, where you make you grab an inch of ground and then you have to wait a little bit because you can see the end, but it's like, well, move forward and we have to wait, and then we move forward and then like in World War One, where the trenches where they didn't move for 3.5 years, that type of deal.
I kind of like that analogy of grabbing an inch of ground and standing it, because that's basically what's happening here. If there's not enough support as a country, of course, it's going to fail. But, I would argue at the same point, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. So if they, quote unquote, fail or perceive to be failing, then I would argue that the country is done with anyway and we need to start anew. So it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, that is true. Because it basically what we're talking about. I mean, obviously we lean towards Trump because he's better than Magoo. You know, a doorway, help. But this is for the listeners as well as the guests on the show. When you talk to people, you don't really bring up Trump because he's a personality and there's triggering and all that type of stuff. If you just talk about it on a procedural level, where there is all this evidence, even if it's circumstantial, if someone does the right investigation, they'll get hard evidence. The thing is that even if see, I can't even say it without giggling. If Biden won because he got the most votes, yeah, right. The point is that the idea of the election was thrown and was had no integrity. That's going to haunt the country and the world for generations, because 4 years from now we'll have an election. Why?
Yeah, perhaps systemically haunted forever. Perhaps it's systemically broken.
That's
forever.
a good point.
No, I wouldn't say forever, because there's other ways of doing it. Like I remember mentioning on this show, what if it's actually a politician that runs on eradicating pure corruption from the system, and a nanosecond later, 3 people, no, that wouldn't happen. Like, just that's how you manifest people. You kind of have to be open to the idea. And I mean, Trump was working on it. He comes across as saying it. My standards are too high because Hillary Clinton should be in jail. But at least, from my perspective, in this moment of now, Trump, he's the lesser of two evils, and he's trying to push forward and help people, because the perception I have is Trump's got Alex Jones on Tim Pool said this really well, that Trump wants everyone to win. And so that's why you lower taxes and, everyone's generating money and the economy's high and all that type of stuff.
He wants everybody to win.
See, the frogs are turning gay and Trump wants actually to. So
are they?
Some are, but
crazy. Yeah. He's the most entertaining guy.
Yeah, well, he's been doing this for over 25 years, and it's like, he's crazy. You think he's been doing it for 25 years and just?
Did you see Joe Rogan on Alex Jones?
Yes, I did watch it. Yeah, I watched that for 4.5 hours, and you saw a different Joe, which was good.
This is good, which is the one you want to see. But they open up the show and close the show with a shout out to my buddy.
Oh, nice.
Ping Trip, who does the videos. He does these supercuts. He's been doing them for forever. But I was a subscriber when he had like 100 subscribers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really good. Really, for listening, he would superimpose, say, Alex Jones' face on a lion and Joe Rogan, and sort of visual Photoshop and do that type of stuff. It's an art form, and I'm like, damn, I want to do that. It's quite good.
Video too. Videos where he cuts up and edits these 2 to 3 hour long Joe Rogan experiences. And it always turns out that, like, the guest has some sort of sexual tension with each other.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like it looks like Alex is gay. Yeah, Alex is gay for Joe, and it's like no. All right, and it's just pure comedy. That's basically what it is.
It's the best, and but it was great to see him get an actual shout out. And that was I remember when that was a goal of ours. I was like, do you think someday Joe Rogan himself will actually notice the work that you've done here? He's like, I don't know, yes. Brandon. Maybe someday.
Dreams are dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like cognitive dissonance in such a way, because like when he did the show, it's just like the way Joe treated Alex on his show was like, bro, do you even know me? Right? It's one of, like, if I was in Alex's position, bro, it's like, I got a nice studio. I've been doing this for 20 years. What the hell's wrong with you? Why are you shaming me?
Happy. Yeah.
What I did like about Joe was he was trying to show the Alex Jones he knows. Not like, look, here's Alex Jones hugging a puppy. Not that level. But that's why they did that instant fact checking where Alex Jones was right, I think 97% of the time. And it's just like he would say something and Joe's like, hang on, Alex, you say things so many times. Jamie, pulled that up, and he was, over 95% the time he was correct because Jones has got that mind where
he did that for Spotify.
You see, like Jones goes and he splurges as fast as possible through like his processing power. Wherever Mercury is in his chart is guiding this, and he's just like all of this like almost eidetic memory kind of stuff about research. He's an amazing researcher like this, and he's pulling out like the best like metadata like reference point that you shoot at people. It's kind of like talking to Alex is like talking to me, where you kind of Wikipedia your language. You make you put forth the combination of words that triggers a certain proper noun, if you will, that you can link to other concepts. Alex has to be on guard because Joe is doing what his broadcasting masters want him to do, and so he's kind of going overboard about it because he's getting demagogued by the host.
I think so. He was just doing it because it was saving him questions later.
Well, one at a time. I have no idea what anyone said there. Apparently, someone wants to marry an octopus. Am I wrong? Okay.
He said in his tweets. He said in his tweets that I knew people would come at me like this. This is why I asked every single question and researched every question. Because people were on him from the moment it was published.
He wanted to show Mr. Jones in a good light because he's hung out with him for over 2 decades. And if you don't be friends with someone for 2 decades, it's like, no, he sucks. It's like, why you hang out with him? Especially when you live, he's in Austin and Joe was in LA. You could easily say, oh, I'm busy. You know what I mean?
And Alex,
it's common. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brandon.
No. I'm just saying Alex Jones loves being best friends with Rogan.
He loves that he moved to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so if you've got 4.5 hours, it's on band.tv and it's worth a watch. Someone actually had a go at like Alex Jones. Video. Yeah. It's on Band.
By the way, he is banned on like Google because I tried finding like his, just to watch it.
Yeah,
couldn't find it
on
Google.
Completely gone. What I find
they can't tolerate the Alex Jones thing right now, right? No. Because like right now, after this election is won, like justice, Trump justice will be the rule of the day, whether that's through AG Barr or somebody after him. If Trump wins this, justice is finally going to like open up because if they can, because if he can prove that they did this and that the powers that be accept the proof that he did this.
Can we get some jail? Can we get some jail time for Clinton and stuff like that?
All the conspiracy theories that sit there on the books. Boom.
I'd like to get them all into a reality TV show where everyone can tune in they're in a country club kind of setting. Everything's comfortable, but then everyone is on them cameras 24/7, like a Big Brother. But it's all interactive.
Yep. I know. My first idea was to actually put them on that plastic island in the North Pacific and film them like Lord of the Flies. But Cortek, what you just put forward, it's called Gitmo. And it's out weekly.
It's already set up.
Yeah, exactly. So, this week on Gitmo, Hillary punches.
We might have to put in a few more cameras.
Yeah, the thing is, the difference between Big Brother is no one's actually evicted.
Well, they can die.
Yeah, well, they can die. Yeah, but that has to be natural. You do no harm. Speaking of now, would this be a attempted distraction? But did you see the article that a former Israeli government official has come out and said, the humans have contracts with aliens and they don't want the aliens. Aliens
Galactic
want to.
Federation.
All right.
And
well,
they said
I'm trying to finish a sentence for the listener.
Hey.
like, okay, so this official that's retired and he's got all these awards and everything, and basically said that certain governments have contracts with aliens, and the aliens don't want to be revealed yet because humanity couldn't handle it.
It's a plug for a book. It's a plug for a book. And they're going, because the US has brought out Pentagon videos, then we have brought out Pentagon videos.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
And at the end is, I've written this book. It's a book plug.
Yeah, it's just interesting part in the disclosure narrative. It's like, they came out now. Interesting. Because that actually
missed the boat.
Yeah, Steve, just you give me a second, Steve, and then I'll hand off to you because I think it'll work well. Is that that story did actually get traction because it mentioned Galactic Federation, and all the Doctor Who fans picked up their ears because there's a Galactic Federation in that. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, yeah, the Galactic Federation is in Star Trek, and the Galactic Federation is one of the names. Is one of the names. I think Viking. Actually, Viking, don't you talk to the Galactic Federation?
I don't think it'd be the same one, though.
Galactic Federation is made mainly up of Arcturians and a faction of Syrians and Pleiadians. They have their own unique structure. There's many federations out there. The Galactic Federation happens to be one that has contacted our planet, has been working with the planet and our leaders for probably 60 years.
If the Galactic Federation were on a pie chart with the rest of the universe, how much of a percentage would they take up?
Well, maybe just galactic pie chart.
With the other federations, kind of thing.
Small, 15%.
Yeah, in the galaxy, yeah.
Wow, 50%.
15.
15.
Right. Well, the Galactic Federation has like a loose association with other peaceful organizations in the galaxy too, right? So that's like they're Canada, and so who's the America to the Galactic Federation's Canada?
Solar Marshal or Solar Warden? What is it called?
The Solar Warden basically monitors who comes in and out of our little universe here. It's not. It's in itself. It's like a military faction that monitors the entry into our space.
They are the walking
through portal. They're stationed right outside of our major portal that ships basically come in and out of.
Yeah. It's the private security force for the prison.
Yeah, it's a private security force. Exactly.
I hope it's not a toll booth because that just makes me giggle.
You're
coming in. It's a toll booth.
Is the Black Knight satellite part of Solar Warden?
No. That's old technology that was set in place to help balance out some of the ley lines on this planet. Much like pyramids and stone circles, they're all there to help to balance out the ley lines to keep us from going into a catastrophic event.
So Black Knight was functional machinery rather than just monitoring. A monitoring device.
It's still functional.
What I find interesting about the whole Black Knight satellite is, remember when Pepsi did an ad about it?
Yes,
really?
Yes.
Yeah, that was like, you don't
How
get
did they work that in?
I don't know. It's like, I can't remember it because my brain just went into shock. Why is a drinks company corporation, here's a black satellite? What? This is disclosure. It's sponsored by Pepsi? What's going on? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, there's two other references in pop culture to the Black Knight satellite. There's an auspicious satellite. I don't think it looks the same, but it kind of almost suggests it. One of Katy Perry's music videos, which has like a bunch of CGI in it, involves like this satellite thing that kind of orbits. It orbits the Earth and beams down energy on it. And I think it follows Katy. I think, and then in the Captain Marvel movie, spoiler alert, the Miss Marvel or whatever, the lady who gave Captain Marvel her powers, she is working with the U.S. government, but she's like up on on a space station or a spaceship that's in low Earth orbit, cloaked. And then they get to a scene where you get to see the ship, they decloak it, and it looks very, very, very close to the Black Knight satellite. So I knew right then and there they were making a suggestion that the Black Knight satellite is a scientific research vessel.
Yeah, I also didn't like that movie, so that's the only interesting part of that movie. I'm just putting out a warning.
Hey, listen. There was a lot of things wrong with it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's compared to in a second. Compared to all the other, it's my show. I can at least do that. Shut up, Cortek, Mr. Interrupt all the time. It's an okay comic book film, and you can turn your brain off and just watch it. That's cool. Compared to the other Marvel films, it's like, what the hell is this? Go ahead, Mr. Z.
Yeah, so go back to the original origin of this little spin-off here of an article coming out, suggesting that we've made contact with aliens, which is true. But I would just like to point out something here. You see how far off we actually are from dealing with that as a public awareness? I mean, look at us. We're still scurrying around down here fighting over this, that, the other thing.
Toilet paper.
And, yeah, pretty much. And so, like, when you start throwing, actual species changing, changing whatever. I don't even know what to call it. It completely...
probability ratios.
Thank you. We're so far away from that at this point that it's kind of laughable. Like, they're planting the seeds of it, but it's not going to happen for at least another 100 years, at least the way we're going with this crap fest.
I like to think that worry is a certain form of hubris. Sorry to just harp on hubris, but it assumes that we really know enough to worry about it.
Yeah, you are correct.
The only thing they need to do, because history repeats itself, is to have a Nuremberg, not the trials, but the Nuremberg.
Bluebeam. Then Bluebeam's the only choice.
Yeah, the phenomenon, the sky phenomenon at Nuremberg in
15, 16,
something like that. Yeah. Farsight Institute remote viewing of that event, and that was absolutely like a Star Wars situation.
It's like tapestries.
Yeah. Like, but straight up, according to the remote viewing, basically there was a battle happening. The battle wasn't affecting them, but it was so close in our solar system that they could watch the battle. They were literally watching a battle the way people used to watch the American Revolution from their backyard. That's what was going on. So it was Star Wars. It was straight up Star Wars.
And speaking of tapestries, that takes commitment. It's not a Polaroid. Like they knew what they.
Yeah.
It took a while to make those things. And it's like, hey, Jeffrey, look at this. And if they're doing it, actually, someone's been sharing the meme because Die Hard's Christmas is coming up, and Die Hard is a Christmas film, or that's an argument. But someone's done that old school tapestry of when Hans Gruber's thrown off the off the building, and I can say this: it's like yippee-ki-yay, you fornicator of motherhood, and it's brilliant. I like when people use those jokes. Even someone's actually done the story of Star Wars in tapestry, and it's like 8 meters long or 16 feet or whatever it is.
It's like building things out of stone, though. It'll last a lot longer than a piece of paper with just some pencil on it.
Yeah, like, I had it on a napkin once. Oh, well. Yeah.
If you have a look at that Nuremberg thing, though, it is mental. Like, you can look at the scale of the city, so then you can check out the scale of these people on the right-hand side a lot more. But then the whole, 6/8 of the sky is just stuff going on.
What I like is the sun is trying to be referee. People, please, people, calm down. People, will you calm down? Relax, dudes.
It's like they could just psyop over one city an event that tells a story. And why is that place going to be Jerusalem?
I swear I saw it happen already. I swear I saw it happen. Some chick it was Bluebeam. They're doing another Bluebeam test. Because I know that they still think, hey, we'll just keep it in the wings. It might work at some point. What we need to do is just make it relevant for the people in those areas. So there was this video, and this chick was streaming off a phone. She was in Egypt or something like that. There was a lot of sand around. It was that general kind of vibe of the air kind of thing. And you could hear the people in the streets going mental. But what it was, she was videoing, it was up in the sky, and they just blue beamed, like it was super hazy. So it was between day and night, it was dusky. So that's the best time to do it. It was just these massive planets. Like, I guess the planets used to be, if you subscribe to electric universe theory, planets were a lot closer. But these planets they just did a bunch of big planets, and she was videoing this, and you could hear the people in the streets genuinely losing their shit.
Yeah. What I find interesting, my idea, what I understand about Bluebeam is the idea is that they show a deity in the sky, and that should not convert, but they accept it type thing. However, living in Australia, Cortek, you'll understand this. Like, you can't have Jesus or Muhammad unless you have the Super Friends turn up. Unless it could be you have Donald, you have Donald
brothers.
No, or Donald Bradman turn up. To get the Australian populace on board, it's going to be very hard to have one. But I like the idea of Oprah and Jesus and Muhammad. Well, actually, you wouldn't have Muhammad because that would be disrespectful. Yeah, right, Rod Stewart. Yeah, even though he's not dead yet.
Animation? Is that an animation?
There'll be Keith Richards
version of Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
can somebody send me that? Can somebody send me a link to this thing where they showed all this stuff? You see, my thing is that if they want this to make sense, and I have a feeling, especially because they said Galactic Federation, that they're trying to trigger their psyop of peace. So this would be benevolent alien situation, right? It would have to be something that happens and they want you to see it.
Do we skip past the bit where we have to fight something to unify?
Mothership, mothership over Jerusalem, and it hangs there long enough for the news to care, for experts to come out. Everybody's filming it. It's like, it's either the illusion is really there, and it's not something somebody put on a computer. There's an actual projection, or the ship itself is really there. It has to be one of those.
It is a joke, but it still comes from an element of truth. If they do a blue beam alien invasion, the rest of the aliens are like, "Can you introduce us? Who are these people?"
These guys are totally like, we've got to step in at some point.
That makes me think. Somebody helped me out with this. I don't remember the time frame, but it was at least a decade ago where there was some sort of UFO over an airport for quite a while. And I'm not going to say whether that was blue beam or it was an actual craft, but it did get everyone's attention for quite some time.
Yeah, I do like it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Not good.
I do like when you talk to people about aliens and you find out where they are on the scale. And they say, like, do aliens exist? And I instantly think, oh, you're way back there. Our question now is it ours or theirs?
Like, here's the thing. There's got to be, like, all of a sudden, like, top generals are popping out, like active generals explaining something that they know about what is going on, right? Like this is a psyop, right? They gotta tell you the big whopper the way they told the Rona whopper. All right, it's got to have its experts, it's got to have its government people, it's got to have politicians that believe them, et cetera, and then the fun part. Where does Trump stand on the situation?
Yeah, because there'll be an element of trying to keep control. There'll be, because if it's false, because go ahead, John.
Trump will be golfing with it, whatever it is.
I know these people; they're awesome. I love them.
You would say, like, hold on, buddy. Be like, hold on, Zorbeck.
They really are. They're really nice.
Hey, Zorbeck, I need to see your passport before we have a comment.
He has a beautiful wife.
Zorbeck's a great guy.
Zorbeck, you hold the 9 like this.
Space wall.
Well, here's an idea. One of the reasons why I don't think they'll ever do that type of scenario where the aliens kind of invade type thing, because if you think about it, even if it's not going to happen within our generation or the next, you stretch it out 500 years or so, the possibility actually becomes really real that might be possible and actually happen. So instead of crying wolf to something that could be a potentially major earth-changing event that we have no control over,
it's never going to happen.
Well,
We're not going to be invaded by malevolent forces. There's over 200 factions of elemental and galactic races monitoring our planet on and off and in our planet. That they're monitoring this whole.
They seem very passive.
Oh, no, I was about to say, there's also
not passive.
There's negative sides here, and if anyone does turn up, there's like, get out, this is ours. This is our operation, buddy.
They've been eradicating the Orions and the reptilians. Even to this day, they're part of this whole eradication here. But we're definitely going to see contact to where the entire world will know that it's happening probably in the next 4 to 7 years. They're just waiting for us to clean our act up. Once we clean our act up and get rid of this deep state intervention, they will then come and join and invite us to the Galactic Federation. They're just waiting, and it's like we're in the playing field, duking it out, and they're in the bleachers cheering us on, trying to really bring this new templative awareness. The whole thing with this whole election and COVID and the street riots, these are all old timelines burning out. And what's going to happen here? And with the genius of Trump is that he's basically allowing the transparency and the illumination of their acts to be brought out into this new light of understanding. It's masterful what he and his team has done as far as letting this play out, because it has to play out to the point where it has minimal reaction and the seamless transition as possible. And this has been the agenda, the entire time.
Yeah, John, then Steve.
I have a question here. Why would said other alien species protect us?
They're getting paid for it.
Well, they're protecting us because we are them. In this grand experiment, they don't want it. They don't want it to go awry. That's why
in a past sense.
Yeah, John, you want to see an alien? Go look in the mirror. You represent a soul grouping on this planet. You volunteered to run this gauntlet and this experiment to gain new codexes and new additions to your DNA beyond.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question. So why are they protecting us? You're saying because we're them and they're us? From what lineage? From past, present, future?
All the above. There is no. At that point, past, present, and future is folded into one.
Yeah, they're outside of time.
There are unique elements. Viking. As soon as you're done, my thing I wanted to say
is also
related. There are unique elements about why this planet is what it is. Some of the most uniform information that you get from remote viewers, people that have said they've talked to aliens, and ancient books that allege seeing certain worlds, so on and so forth, is that Earth is one of the few places that is as biodiverse as it is, including biodiversity amongst its sentient life forms, i.e., we have the 5 major races: the Middle Eastern peoples, the white people, the black people, the yellow people, and the red people. Okay, we and amongst us, there's so much diversity within them because of tribes. There's something very important to the genetic worth and wealth of life on in this universe, the universe as a whole, everything operating on this, and the energetic fields that come from this biodiverse place. There's chaos magic here, and that's why chaos magic has an interesting place in that respect. You've got all these different forces that they lean towards the light and the dark, or the twisted light in reality, because the dark is not evil, but the twisted light is evil. And they lean towards these things, and those have specific connections to who is in charge. There's aspects of this planet that are meant to be a prison for prisoners from out there. So there's a prison relationship, and unfortunately those prisoners are very good at getting everybody to submit to them being the leaders of their people. The other side is recovering from a certain collective amnesia, and the end goal in ascension process is the end of the death rebirth cycle and the end of the amnesia that comes with that, because the amnesia is the only thing that holds us back, because our souls are like Highland.
Yeah, we're stuck in a loop.
So then the question becomes, why this universe and why not another? Is it just that this one's less effed?
Well, the situation is where the galaxy. Yeah, well, yeah, and also we're in a free will galaxy, in a free will solar system, on a free will planet. That's part of the experiment where there's total free will, and someone's come in and fiddled with some switches, and they've brought in that amnesia, where that's why the game has gone on for so long. But back in the day when it was fun, you know, if you're connected to Prime Creator, Source, Flying Spaghetti Monster, however you want to say it, you would love to have that amnesia and live your life and remember. However, that's been hijacked, and we've been doing this for 52 million years. Sorry.
I thought that collective amnesia came from the planet in our solar system that used to be there.
Well, that's part of the trauma. They use trauma and fear. And like even... Yeah, and I'm sure Viking can be able to add to this quite easily, where to keep the collective into in a lower vibration is trauma. Even the 10,000, 12,000 years ago with the Ice Age, that was kind of traumatic because, you know, all the plants died and there was only animals and, you know, just there's this constant trauma. And part of what's happening now is that we're working through that trauma or lineage because of the DNA and how it holds history, and it's easy once you know. It's like trying to learn stand-up comedy. It's really easy, but it's extremely hard. It's easy to do, but it's extremely hard to learn. But once you've learned it all, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But it's so hard to try and explain it in a 2-hour show.
Bode's law of mathematics says there should be a planet there. So we definitely had it. We definitely had a moment in time where a planet was exploded.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
We are what's left of what was life supporting of Maldek. That's why our planet looks the way that it. Look at all the other gaseous planets. They're all pretty much perfect spheres. Mars is a perfect sphere, except it's got a big scar on it. And that's the only thing that gives extreme depth in topography.
That's the test fire.
Yes. We are a planet that was rebuilt. This is part and parcel of Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, the earth was a waste and a desolation because we were not earth until that day. That's the thing, right? And we have direct memories to when we were on Maldek, our lives on Maldek. So for those of us whose souls were connected to that period of time, and we get that world a little bit confused with our world, right?
Steve, are there any records that you know of people channeling Maldek at all in any respect? In what kind of planet was it a gas planet? What was?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that some of us could be doing it unconsciously because of what we know in our collective imagination. It comes through our subconscious. I would tell you that Lord of the Rings, for instance, is kind of it didn't happen on Maldek, but imagine if what happened in the Silmarillion before the Age of Man in the Lord of the Rings was what happened on Maldek when the Dark Lord had that kind of super reign and then somehow lost it. Okay? Think of it's kind of like that, and that's why we remember things that feel like it's from a fantasy world
or try and recreate things. Yeah.
right? And everything was bigger, right? So this is part and parcel of what we're not understanding and why we're confused about the shape of the Earth and critical elements that are missing when you are afraid to commit some sort of heresy.
I really love the idea. I really love the idea that Devil's Tower used to be a tree stump.
Yes, I like that as well. I also, for anyone, for dear listener, if you've been following along and it resonates with you, I'm just going to throw you a curveball through what Andrew Bartz has shared with his Galactic history. We're not even talking about timeline genocide and the multiple timelines that are all happening at the same time. So if it doesn't resonate, if that story narrative, and I'm not saying it's not true, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's probably because you're from a different timeline, because that's how the Earth is so screwed up, where it's been going on, where it's a complete hodgepodge. And just remember, the Prime creator is going, this TV show is awesome.
I like to think of it as a giant pachinko game where every single ball is someone else's wants and needs.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Go around. And I think that's kind of where religion steps in, where it's like, no, it's just this narrative, and we've dumbed it down for you, and it's very Fisher Price, and yet it doesn't feel like, well, that doesn't feel right. And then you get into the expansion, like you listen to Steve's work, you listen to Viking's work, you listen to some of the stuff I do with Andrew, and there is so much. The more you know, the less you actually know, where you realize there's so much more, and that's part of and that's part of the excitement and the journey of the Great Awakening. Just waking up that you're asleep, because you have another 99% of information to go through. And it's going to take a while, but it's going to be fun.
That's only when you get to the top of the hill that you see the other hills on the other side that you still haven't crested.
So the most important takeaway I'm getting from this is that the world is not flat.
No, there's bumps, and it's only flat till you get to the base of a hill, and then it rises.
Sorry.
So
I should like to thank you, Monty, for having me on.
Oh, it's the Queen, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Queen.
It's a delightful show, and thank you all for. I should like to say that I'm going to go turn into a reptile now.
8 foot tall, apparently. Yes, we are at the end of the show. Thank you, Queenie, or Brandon. Viking, would you like to give out where people can find you and your show?
Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Studio A, the Galactic Interstellar Council. And this week we're going to be talking about accessing your higher quantum dynamics.
Ooh, sounds like a good template. Steve, very quickly, where can people find you?
All right. Best places to find me are Zerilath on YouTube and Zerilath on DLive, which is where we've been also streaming tonight, along with some of my friends have been enjoying themselves in the chat over it. Thank you very, very much. And I'm also trying to build a little bit on Twitter and Instagram, which are also both Zerilath. So that's great for me.
And Cortek, where can people see you? Like your lounge room, you may move into the kitchen.
If you've got a high definition camera, you might be able to get in the living room. Actually, Cyberpunk 2077, the game everyone's been waiting 10 years for a project, the CD Projekt Red to make, starts tomorrow, 11 a.m. EST. If you're on Twitch, come in and say g'day, Cortek. Or actually, I couldn't get Cortek, so I got core_tech. But anyway, it's a game changer, this one. It's a big one.
Yeah. And I noticed some apparently it's transphobic, and so the nut jobs came out on Twitter, which is like everyone's like, yeah, whatever, you tweet.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you there. I think I've said thank you, dear listener. If you enjoyed the show, please donate when you can. My YouTube channel is Wafer Thin Entertainment. You can donate there if you want to help me buy pizza, as well as don't forget to help out with the radio station that you're listening to right now, as my mouth is going off into a direction, my brain's going, stop you fall, the music's on. You have been listening to Planet Collingwood. We'll be back in 6 days in 22 hours. We love you all, but from afar. We'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.